just marked an essay from one of my students who is going to take the FCE this week. And so we looked at one of her essays recently, a couple of days ago, and now she has done another essay. And I'm pleased to say that the content has certainly improved, because it was content that I complained about, I suppose, in the last essay more than anything else. I just felt that it wasn't focused enough on the question. But this is a good example of an answer which is focused, certainly, all the way through in the introduction, main body, conclusion, on answering this question. Teachers need more than just a knowledge of their subject. What do you think? Not sure why they've got a colon there. I'm not sure why they punctuate their sentences the way they do sometimes in the FCE and the CAE. It leaves me scratching my head sometimes. But anyway, we have to answer this question, and I think the student has done a very good job. Let's have a look what she's written. And she has to write about patience, friendliness, and then one of her own ideas. And you remember I criticized her last time for not making it clear enough what her own idea is. Well, in this essay, she certainly has made it very, very clear, especially by using what I have learned for myself. That made it very clear to me that this was her own idea, and I thought it was a really good idea. So let's have a look at what she has written, and let's make sure we can get the whole page in. I might have to zoom out a tiny bit. Let's go back to, yeah, I think, I'm sorry guys, I've just got to zoom out. Oh, I could do that maybe that's a bit better. Yeah, that's a bit better. So teaching is certainly one of the hardest works, she put, which isn't correct, guys. Everybody out there, I want you all to know that job is countable and work is uncountable when we're talking about the nouns, yeah, because only nouns can be countable or uncountable. Now, it should be clear that a job is countable. You can have 2 jobs, yeah, you can have 3 jobs, but you can't have 2 works or 3 works. The only way we use work is to mean the abstract idea of work. Yeah, that's the only way we use work. So you can say, that was hard work, or what a load of hard work that was. Or you can say, my work is interesting, something like that. You can also say, my job is interesting. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't say my works, yeah? You can only talk about works if you're talking about works of art or something like that, but certainly not work meaning job. Okay, so teaching is certainly one of the hardest jobs there is, comma, because it requires a lot of commitment and dedication towards students. Okay, very good. Good morning, Sabi. And then we've got the following sentence. Now, the student keeps trying to use this not only, but also, which is an excellent phrase to use in any kind of academic essay, because it sounds intelligent and it sounds sophisticated. It gives you a chance to use inversion. And I think that's what the student wants to do, because we've got that does it. And it gives you a chance to show that you understand parallel structure. And if you don't know what parallel structure is, and you're going to use not only but also, please watch the classes on what parallel structure is. I'm going to talk about it right now, though, and I hope this makes it clear what the hell I'm talking about with parallel structure. When you've got a 2-part conjunction, they're called correlative conjunctions, yeah? Both X and Y. You've got a both and an and there. Either X or Y. You've got an either, you've got an or there. Neither X nor Y. Not only X, but also Y. If you're going to use these correlative conjunctions in an academic essay, make sure that the X and the Y are equal, totally and utterly equal. Let's have a look what the X and the Y are in this essay. So the X is, does it include to convey information to learners? Now, there are some mistakes in that, but I'm not really fussed about those mistakes, because already we can see that we've got subject, it, verb, does include, and then object to convey information to learners. So what we've got is a whole clause after the not only. So we need a whole clause. If we were going to make it parallel, we need a whole clause after the but also. So what do we have after the but also? We've got the way to do it. So we're comparing to convey information to, we're comparing does it include to convey information to learners, a whole clause with a thing, the way to do it. And that's why it doesn't sound balanced, because you are comparing apples with oranges. You're comparing a whole clause with a thing. And that you're comparing a whole clause where something does something with a thing. And that's why it doesn't make sense. That's why it's unparalleled. So when you use not only X, but also Y, use it very carefully. Let's have a look at 3 parallel structures that I have created. And I did rewrite this sentence because I wasn't really sure what the student meant as the 2 things which teaching includes. And really, you want to be very, very clear, especially in your introduction. So I changed it to the following. Maybe if you want to use not only whole clause, but also whole clause, let's try this. Not only does teaching involve conveying information, but also it includes controlling the class. Notice that I've got whole clause in both sides. Not only does teaching involve conveying information, but also it includes controlling the whole class, or the class. So you can see you've got subject teaching, you've got verb does involve, you've got an object conveying information. You've got subject, it, you've got verb includes, and you've got object controlling the class. Notice that the object in both cases is a gerund phrase. I'm trying to make it parallel, So conveying information, controlling the class. You can hear that they are equal. And that's why we could, if we don't want to use a whole clause, maybe we just want to use the gerund phrase, conveying information, controlling the class. Then we say teaching includes, we put the teaching includes before the correlative conjunction. Teaching includes not only X, but also Y. Teaching includes not only conveying information, but also controlling the class. Gerund phrase, gerund phrase. Or maybe we don't want to repeat the gerund. Maybe we want the same gerund for both of them. Then we say this: teaching includes conveying not only facts, but also ideas, Plural noun, plural noun. Now, I hope you can see that all 3 of those sentences are clearly written. And why are they clearly written? Because they obey the laws, the rules, the regulations of parallel structure. That's why. That's why. And notice that every single time I get an essay to mark, I'm talking about parallel structure. That should tell you something important about writing skills. You need to learn parallel structure to develop really strong, really powerful writing skills. Okay, so that's just about parallel structure. Let's carry on now. Let's get back to the essay. I'm a teacher, so I can refer to my experience. Okay, that's good. And by the way, this time she's using a lot of concrete examples, which is great, which is why she's got a better mark for the content. Because I'm a teacher, so I can refer to my experience. Okay, so we know she's going to talk about her experiences. The first time I got into the class, I was, of course, puzzled. That puzzled me. The word puzzled me, because I'm also a teacher, and I remember the first time I went into a class, and I can't imagine why she was puzzled. What confused her? What made her think, oh, I don't understand? Puzzled means you don't understand something. And so I think you should be specific here. If you're going to say that you were puzzled the first time you went into a class, say why. What puzzled you? What confused you? What made you scratch your head and think, oh, I don't understand that? So I wasn't sure that that was the correct word. Maybe you do mean confused, or maybe you mean unprepared. The of course made me think, well, why would you be of course puzzled? Why wouldn't everything look clear? But I thought that word confused me. It puzzled me. But maybe unprepared is better. I was, of course, unprepared. But fortunately, I could count on the suggestions, maybe advice. Advice sounds better here than a suggestion, it seems to me. That I had received from my grandparents. Concrete examples, excellent. But this is a relative clause. Your grandparents are a very specific noun. This is a non-defining relative clause. We can't define which ones of your grandparents because you've only got one set of grandparents. So we need a comma there for the non-defining relative clause. Okay, so they told me to be patient and ready to repeat more than once the topic of the lectures so as to avoid, as much as possible, leaving some of the students behind. I really liked that sentence. I thought that was an elegantly written sentence. It sounds good. Listen to the rhythm. They told me to be patient and ready to repeat more than once the topic of the lectures so as to avoid, as much as possible, leaving some of the students behind. Excellent sentence. What I have learned for myself, okay, so here we're getting a very clear your own idea. What I have learned for myself, oh, and by the way, she has mentioned patient and she has mentioned, has she mentioned friendliness? So I think this is coming in this part. What I have learned for myself instead, that's a conjunctive adverb. So if you're going to put 1 comma there, put 2 commas there. It's interrupting. What I have learned for myself instead is that looking, and by the way, this is a cleft sentence, so it's good grammar, is that looking too soft or friendly. Okay, she has mentioned friendliness. Excellent. Notice we say look and adjective. Look happy, look sad, look wonderful. Look like plus noun. Look like a fool. Look like a Frenchman, look like the president, look like Britney Spears, whoever. But look like plus noun, look plus adjective. Is that looking too soft or friendly can give, not cause, can give students a misleading impression. We say give somebody a good impression, give somebody a bad impression. Yeah, he gave me a good impression, or what else do we say about good impression? He made a good impression, or can make students know. You make a good impression, but you can give students a misleading impression. And then I changed so that, which is wrong in my opinion. So that is a subordinating conjunction. So if you're saying so that I prefer to be stricter, harsher, and then to become more flexible, comma, what I have learned, it doesn't make sense to use so that here. We need so, not so that. We need so, which is different from so that. So means therefore. So is a fanboy's word, but therefore is a conjunctive adverb. So I've punctuated it in the same way as most conjunctive adverbs. Semicolon, conjunctive adverb, comma. And I think that creates a much better sentence, you know, joining it like that. And remember, it is a misleading impression. You do need an article. It's countable impression. Therefore, comma, I prefer to be stricter or harsher, tougher. Okay. But remember that tough is usually physically tough. If you're talking about, you know, severity of a teacher, stricter, harsher, more severe, and then to become more flexible, more lenient would be an excellent word here, because lenient is the opposite of strict or harsh. I would conclude by saying that people who, no comma here, you are defining which people. This is a defining relative clause, yeah? This one's defining, because my grandparents is specific. There's only one set of your grandparents. You can't define which my grandparents. So this one's non-defining, it needs a comma. This one, people, is vague. There are billions of people. There's only one set of my grandparents in the world, but there are billions of people. You need to define which people. So no comma, and use a defining relative clause. Who want to teach something to someone. I don't think we need a do here. I thought it even sounded wrong. Is that people who want to teach something to someone must always keep at their studies. Keep at their studies and not keep at gerund, keep at running. No, not really. Keep at windsurfing, maybe, but normally just an ordinary noun. Keep at your studies, keep at the project. You know, keep studying is all you'd need. You wouldn't need keep at studying. So they must always keep studying, or they must always keep at their studies. Full stop, conjunctive adverb, comma. If they want to be esteemed as a charismatic guide by their students, good, comma, they will, and then I didn't like this, they will be provided by an uncommon and updating knowledge of their disciplines. No, I mean, if they want to be esteemed as a charismatic guide by their students, they will require a deep understanding of their subject, maybe, which is constantly updated, non-defining relative clause. So, you know, I wasn't sure. The updating knowledge is why I said which is constantly updated. But I gathered that she was answering the question of, do teachers need more than just a good knowledge of their subject? What do you think? Well, I think one more sentence here would make this clearer. But I would conclude by saying that people who want to teach something to someone must keep at their studies. Okay, so this is sounding like agreement. Yeah, this is sounding like they need a good knowledge of their subject. But do they need more? Do they need more? We need to know, do they need more? In this paragraph, I felt like the student was saying, yes, they do need more. They need to be patient. They need to be not too lenient, yeah? And they need to be pretty strict, pretty harsh. So they need more then. They need more than just a good knowledge of their subject. So it's worth repeating that then in the conclusion. And then you'll definitely get a 4.5 for the content. Just do repeat after you've said this. I would conclude by saying that people who want to teach something to someone must always, you could just say teachers there. You know, that does seem a little bit redundant. Or potential teachers. How about that? I would conclude by saying that potential teachers, instead of people who want to teach something to someone, I would conclude by saying that potential teachers must always keep at their studies. Indeed, if they want to be esteemed as a charismatic guide by their students, they will require, how about this? They will require more than a deep understanding. And of course, it shouldn't be in capitals. I'm going to take it away. They will require more than a deep understanding of their subject. Yeah, and then take off that. They will require more than a deep understanding of their subject, such as patience. Well, I wouldn't say that that's more than. They will require more than a deep understanding of their subject. And then you could use a semicolon. Patience. Strictness, harshness, patience, discipline. How about that? For strictness, harshness, patience, discipline, and friendliness. I mean, but we don't need to repeat friendliness. How about this? And what kind of other word is it? And so patience. My cat's just coming. Patience, discipline, and something where you're good with. And patience, discipline, and communication are also vital skills. Yeah, I just feel like you've really got to finish the essay by answering this question. And I felt like you did a much better job of it this time, but don't leave it to the examiner to put this sentence in at the end himself. You know, make sure that you let him know that this is why I think teachers need more than just a good knowledge of their subject. And I got the impression that you were certainly saying that in this in the main body, but just repeat it one more time at the end here. Yeah, you can see that that's where I've repeated it. They will require more. I've even used the same words, more than a deep understanding of their subject. Patience, discipline, and communication are also vital skills. Yeah. So yeah, I thought the content was better. There were concrete examples. I thought be careful with not only X, but also Y. I've mentioned you've got to use parallel structure with that. But if you're thinking I'm being really, really harsh, please understand that I really like this sentence. They told me to be patient and ready to repeat more than once the topic of the lectures so as to avoid as much as possible leaving some of the students behind. I thought that was a lovely sentence. And I gave 4 for language because of a few language mistakes. I didn't think puzzled was right. I even thought, well, if you're going to say something like that, do explain what you mean. Because why would you feel puzzled when you walk into the class the first time? Was there something puzzling around you? I mean, what was so puzzling? I think you meant like the first time I was nervous, I was hesitant, I didn't know what to do, I felt unprepared, I felt out of my depth, something like that, inexperienced, something like that. So do be precise. Okay, I hope that has been interesting for everybody. I hope that that has may perhaps pointed out a few things for writing that might be useful in your own classes or in your own homework. And I hope to see you all soon.